Hello and welcome. You're watching the Daily Jagran and I am Nikita Kapoor. In this special segment, I bring you some of the top stories of the day. Let's begin. In a stunning move that's rattling the global academic community, US President Donald Trump has halted the entry of foreign students to none other than Harvard University. That's right, the world's most prestigious university now off limits for new international students by order of the White House. And yes, Indian students are among the worst hit. The White House confirmed that foreign nationals seeking to study or participate in exchange programs at Harvard will not be allowed entry into the United States. But it doesn't stop there. The order also directs the US State Department to consider revoking the visa of current Harvard students who meet the criteria laid out in the proclamation. Why this drastic step by Trump administration? According to Harvard, the ban is retaliation. The university says the Trump administration is punishing it for refusing to submit to political control. The two-page directive accuses Harvard of having concerning foreign ties and radicalism, terms that critics say are vague and deeply politicized. This is just the latest flashpoint in Trump's escalating war on Harvard. Last month, US embassies and consulates were ordered to impose additional vetting on anyone applying for US visa. Then came the moves to freeze Harvard grants, revoke the university's tax-exempt status, and even investigate whether it discriminated against white, Asian, straight, or male applicants. Trump's larger narrative? That elite US universities are breeding grounds for what he calls anti-American radicalism. For now, the ban is specific to Harvard, but impact, especially for India, is real and immediate and personal. There are 788 Indian students and scholars currently enrolled at Harvard. Most are pursuing PhDs, master's degrees, or postdoctoral research. And now they're facing a gut-wrenching uncertainty. The proclamation doesn't just stop new students, it threatens the legal status of those already inside the United States. Many doctoral candidates, midway through years of intense research, must now make a choice: transfer out, pause, or leave. And for Indian students freshly admitted to Harvard for the 25-26 academic cycle, it's a full stop. Unless the order is challenged and reversed in court, these students from India will not be allowed to enter the United States. Harvard is preparing for a fresh legal battle. The university has called the Trump administration's actions unconstitutional and warned of harm to its global academic mission. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz has now publicly called on former US President Donald Trump to mediate a dialogue between India and Pakistan as India sharpens its focus on exposing Pakistan's role in cross-border terrorism, particularly in light of Operation Sindoor outrage. Speaking at an event at the US Embassy in Islamabad, Shehbaz hailed Trump as a leader who helped escalate tensions between the two nuclear neighbors, a claim that India has flatly denied again and again. Sharif's comments come at a time when diplomatic lines between India and Pakistan remain largely frozen and India continues to maintain that terror and talks cannot go hand in hand. Shehbaz Sharif's plea to Washington was clear: facilitate comprehensive dialogue between India and Pakistan on all outstanding issues, including Kashmir. Meanwhile, India has consistently rejected any form of third-party mediation in its bilateral matters with Pakistan, especially on Kashmir. Shehbaz Sharif's comments appear to be a part of Islamabad's repeated attempts to internationalize the Kashmir issue. So what does India say now? While the government has not issued a fresh official statement on Shehbaz Sharif's appeal. However, MEA has said time and again, we do not need mediation, and talks with Pakistan will only and only be on Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, the Ghulam Kashmir. So while Shehbaz Sharif may be looking to Washington for help and praising Trump for past interventions, he calls, India stands firm, looking at the ground reality. Karnataka's Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar broke down today while addressing the media, day after the deadly stampede at Bengaluru's Chinnaswamy Stadium claimed 11 innocent lives, many of them just teenagers. The tragedy which unfolded during RCB's IPL victory celebration has triggered an avalanche of grief, outrage and difficult questions for the state government. A visibly shaken D.K. Shivakumar, holding back tears, told reporters, and I quote, "I'm worried about the children. I saw they were just 15 years old. No family can digest this loss." This is what he said, holding back tears, emotional. But for the grieving families, emotions may not be enough. The stampede, which many say was preventable, has become a lifelong trauma for the grieving families. The Karnataka government now stands accused of gross mismanagement, poor crowd control, and mixed messaging about the event, which created confusion and panic among the thousands gathered outside the stadium. What was meant to be a victory celebration for Royal Challengers Bengaluru ended in horror. The tragedy has turned political too. Images of D.K. Shivakumar smiling, holding the IPL trophy and posing with the RCB team surfaced shortly after the incident. They have gone viral, and not in a good way. Critics say these images reflect the government's apathy, especially when put against the chaos and the bodies lying outside stadium gates. The contrast is striking and damning. Shivakumar later clarified that the event at the stadium was wound up within 10-15 minutes after the tragedy, but by then the damage was already done, both on the ground and in public perception. With 11 people dead and over 30 injured, the questions only grow louder and louder. Who gave the clearance for the event without proper arrangements? Why wasn't the crowd anticipated, and why was communication so chaotic? And the government, now on the defensive, will need to go beyond emotion and deliver accountability. The humble waddling penguins of Mumbai's Baikala Zoo are now in the middle of a political and linguistic storm. No, this is not a joke. What began as a happy moment, the hatching of 3 penguin chicks, has snowballed into a full-blown language war because of what they have been named. The 3 newly hatched Humboldt penguins were recently named Noddy, Pingu and Tom. Cute, yes. Controversial? Apparently also yes, because now a BJP leader is up in arms saying these names are in English, and that's an insult to Maharashtra. Leading the protest is BJP functionary Nitin Bankar from the Baikula Assembly constituency. He says the penguins were born in Maharashtra and so they should be named in Marathi. According to him, repeated requests to BMC, which manages the zoo, were ignored, and so he staged a protest outside the zoo itself. Now, for the context, the tradition of English names for the penguins began back in 2016 when the first batch of penguins was brought to Mumbai from South Korea. Over the years, names like Donald, Daisy, Popoy became part of the zoo's charm. So when the new chicks were born this year, Noddy, Pingu and Tom were added to the list. But this time, language and politics waddled in. Nitin Bankar says this is about something bigger. Long-standing demand for recognition of Marathi as a classical language. His point is, if we can't give Marathi names to animals born on Marathi soil, how serious are we about respecting the language itself? Meanwhile, the penguins, well, they're just being penguins. But in a country where language equals identity and identity equals politics, looks like even the names of baby penguins can spark a movement. Are the names Noddy, Pingu and Tom disrespectful? Should language pride extend to animals in captivity, or should we just let the penguins be? One thing is for sure, this is no longer just about penguins. Today, even penguins aren't safe from the cultural wars. COVID-19 once again is making headlines, making its presence felt in India, and with a noticeable uptick in new infections, active cases, and now fresh fatalities. According to the latest data from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, 7 people have died due to COVID-19 in the past 24 hours, and the active cases across the country now stand nearly 5,000. And most concerning, the virus is claiming lives of the most vulnerable. In Delhi, 2 deaths were reported, including that of a 5-month-old baby boy. Maharashtra also recorded 3 deaths with 105 new infections. These developments have prompted fresh action from the authorities. The Delhi government has issued a detailed advisory to all hospitals across the capital, asking them to ramp up COVID preparedness immediately. The advisory includes ensuring the availability of hospital beds, adequate stock of oxygen, essential medicines and vaccines, and a clear protocol for handling surges in cases. The Ministry of Health has also conducted a series of technical review meetings with public health officials. While there is no indication yet of a dangerous new variant, experts are closely monitoring the transmission pattern and have advised caution, not panic. So what's different this time? Well, the current wave is small in comparison to the devastating surges of 21-22. Hospitalizations remain low and most patients are recovering with mild symptoms. But the concern is that fatalities are back, and that too in urban centers like Delhi and Mumbai. This calls for early action to prevent another nationwide health crisis. Public health officials are urging citizens, especially the elderly, to take precautions. State governments are being encouraged to update their COVID dashboards, reactive war rooms, and conduct mock drills to test emergency response systems. This is all what we have time for in this special segment. For more news and updates, you can subscribe to the Daily Jagran. You can also log on to thedailyjagran.com. Thanks for tuning in. This is Nikita Kapoor signing off.